All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Hearing Things with Julie and Brad. Once again, we are back on Zoom. We haven't done episodes on Zoom in a little bit, so we're once again back on opposite sides of New England. But soon enough, I'll be home full time in Boston area, and we'll be back to recording in person. But always a joy to have you with us and to be together today to talk about things that are important to us and important to our community and hopefully important to you. So today, the topic, I'm going to take the lead on this, is discussing intent versus impact. And this visual is great because it really captures the
Yeah.
idea of it, which is what you think you said may not be what was heard by the person that you spoke it to. So we've all been there, right? I know that either it's the person saying something with the best of intention or it's the person on the other side that's on the other end of the interaction
Yep.
got an entirely different message than maybe what was meant. So, as someone with a physical disability of my hearing loss, I've definitely been in situations where that has happened. And I wanted to share a couple just to kind of illustrate this concept. And I know these statements were likely well intentioned, but the impact that it had really came across in a way that it wasn't meant. So, these two situations were directly related to my hearing loss. And the other thing I want to point out is that all too often, at least in my experience, these are interactions that were unsolicited by me. So they were based off of assumptions that maybe were dangerous assumptions. So I'll give you an example. So a couple of years back, I decided to go to grad school again, because I don't know why anybody would want to do it more than once, but twice so far. And I reached out to Lesley University, to the admissions office, and I made it clear to them the best way to communicate with me about your program is through text-based communication, either email or text. And I got an email back from the admissions officer asking me to call, even though I had already stated, I'm sorry, I'm hearing impaired, best through email or whatever. So the intention was in the right place. The admissions officer said, "Oh, you're here. Oh, that's great. I've been wanting to practice my sign language. Let's set up a Skype call." Took a breath.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is a great example of someone whose intention, I really believe, with this offer was really a genuine desire to
Yeah.
assist and accommodate me. And in their excitement, they really thought they were going to do something just so fantastic. But the impact, right, the other side, the way I heard it, was I was like, whoa. A presumption was clearly made about me and my skill set and the way that I communicate and my hearing loss, and even the tone in which it was spoken back through the text was very almost juvenile in a way, like overly excited. It's like, oh, I'm doing you this big favor. I get to be the savior. Look at me now. I have a practice buddy. Oh,
Yeah.
not great. Again, intent, I
Yeah.
think, was really desiring to be helpful. Impact was, hold on a second, you just made a huge assumption, and it was not okay at all. So that didn't feel great. So that was one example of an intent versus impact that I've run into. Another one that I bumped into my whole life, and Brad, I don't know if this happened to you, but anytime someone who is deaf or hard of hearing does something on a large scale in the public, I hear about it. So, for example, when Niall DeMarco was a contestant on Dancing with the Stars in 2016, the amount of times people said to me some version of, "Oh, did you know that there's a guy on Dancing with the Stars who's deaf? He does so well." Okay.
Deep
Again.
breath.
Again. Swap that out for anybody, right? Heather Whitestone, Miss
Yeah.
America, Molly Matlin, the actress, Linda from Sesame Street, right?
Yeah.
Swap it out. The intention is still the same. What a great thing someone who's like you is doing a thing. The impact, to me at least, and again, everything we talk about on the show is about our personal
Yeah.
experiences and not meant to be generalized for everyone in the deaf and hard of hearing loss community. But to me, the impact is always, wow, it's a miracle that someone with a hearing loss can go on and achieve great things and do different things, even though they're plagued with this horrible condition. Again, intent versus impact, right? There's always this underlying presumption of incompetence that I feel that I bump into a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about that a little bit with disclosure of your disability. And I just want to remind people, make the least dangerous assumption, right? Presume competence. And that goes back to Susan Rubin, who is an autistic advocate, who is an incredible woman. And she always says she doesn't want to be the spokesperson for everyone with
Yeah.
autism. And she encourages people to make the least dangerous assumption, presume competence of anyone you are speaking to, regardless of what their challenges may or may not be. So think about the intention of the
Yeah.
ideas that you're sharing, compliments you're giving, assistance you may be offering, and understand that sometimes that extension is in direct conflict with the impact that you're having on the person you're talking with. You're impacting their sense of safety, security, their self confidence, and also, honestly, with me, sometimes my interest and desire to engage with you for any longer than necessary. I'll be perfectly honest. It can be pretty off putting. So I have to end my little spiel with a football reference because by the time this airs, we'll be right in the middle of football season. And Vince Lombardi was the famed coach of the Green Bay Packers, and he is a personal hero of my dad's and by extension all of us growing up. And one of his quotes was, "The measure of who we are is what we do with what we have." Vince Lombardi. So I hope that
That's
everyone hearing
great.
that today, now that you know a little bit more,
Yeah.
do the best with the knowledge that you now have
Yeah.
going forward when you speak with anybody. And I'll be doing the same. I mean, I always am kind of trying to check myself as a special education educator of students with learning disabilities. I always have to remind myself, hold on a second, maybe you don't need to jump in right now while they're planning their writing. Give them a minute. See what they come back with
Yeah.
first. Maybe ask questions differently yourself when you're interacting with kids. So I think something to just kind of keep in mind. I don't think this is something that's kind of as well known as I would like it to be, but it's just kind of two examples from my own life of that intent versus impact. What you thought you said, and what someone heard of two different things. I don't know if that resonates with you at all, Brad. I'll certainly stop my screen share and have you have at it for a minute.
Have you? So before I get into any thoughts I did you ever use the tin cups with the string as a kid?
I hate those games.
I did
It's
too.
very stressful.
I did too. Like I
Not a
hate the
fan. Didn't work.
telephone game, right? The
Yep.
telephone game. I always hated
Awful.
that. And I tried the string when I was really young.
Hmm.
Surprise, surprise! I heard nothing. Well, I heard,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
exactly.
yeah.
Like
So
Charlie Brown's teacher's voice in the
exactly.
cartoon.
So yeah. Yeah. I think it's really hard. So like, I don't have
Yeah.
any. Luckily, the only really like hearing related impact versus intention
Hmm.
versus impact I have is it's always ASL, right? Once you tell people
Yep.
that you can't that you have hearing problems or hearing impaired or whatever your label of choice is, the first question always seems to be ASL. Do you know ASL? And it hurts because like I don't, and it seems like I've tried a couple of times, but it's an entire language. It's not even that. It's an entire
Yeah,
culture.
exactly.
And it's something that, yes, I think Julie, you and I have talked about this. Is like
Hmm.
something, yes, that we probably should learn, but we're not there yet. And
Right.
the assumption that if you're hearing impaired, you know ASL is so skewed because I think
Hmm.
we've mentioned on a previous episode where like there's over 400 million people with hearing loss
Yep.
and only like 2% know ASL because it's the spectrum, right? You have the
Right.
spectrum of hearing loss. So that's really the only thing related to hearing that I have. But I've lost recently. I'm not really going to get into specifics because it's still an
Sure.
ongoing issue. But I've lost a really good friend because of this. Is because my intention was to help but the impact was a power dynamic that was
Oh, interesting.
totally misconstrued and
Sure.
not what I wanted to do and not like
Hmm.
if you know me I'm not in it for power.
Right.
So like it was just really disappointing. So there's only so much control you have, which I think that I
Hmm.
was appreciative of this topic, Julie, because it's the more
Hmm.
you hear about it, the more awareness that is raised. I think it's you give a pause to when you're communicating at any time, like what is why are they saying it? What is the intent? And then
Right.
impact is an emotional reaction. So like the hearing buddy episode,
Hmm. We're
you're
gonna
gonna be
disagree. That's
impacted,
okay. You're gonna,
but
yeah,
it's fine,
exactly.
right? But like
Right.
some there's different degrees to it. So
Mm.
yeah, that's horrible. It's tough. It's really tough because you have no control over that. And sometimes you really can't recover from it, and
Right.
it's
Right.
disappointing.
Yeah, so I think for everybody, it's a good lesson is to be self-reflective and mindful and flexible with yourself. And on the other hand, don't be afraid to speak back and say, here's what I'm hearing. Is that what you meant?
Yeah,
Here's what I'm understanding. Is that your intention? I think the more of those conversations we can have, the better.
I
But
agree.
it's not always easy. But I think it was a good thing to kind of throw out there for food for thought for everyone tonight to
Yeah.
kind of toss that around a little bit.
Yeah, please let us know
Good.
if you have any examples in your life, and it doesn't have to be hearing related. I think that that'll just tie it together anyway, right? Because
Absolutely.
if you any topic, you can paint with a different color,
Hmm.
right? Depending on
Sure.
what you bring to the situation. So please, yeah, comment below if you've
We
had that
always
kind of
love to hear
story.
from comments, emails,
Whatever.
whatever, skywriting. We take
Yeah,
skywriting.
passenger pigeon. Oh wait, I don't think they're
Whatever you
allowed.
feel like. Yeah, we love it. We love to hear from you. Okay. My favorite part. Ready?
Yes.
Books. We
Yes,
talk about
books.
books. Books, right?
What do you got?
So I just finished. This is a book that I have resisted for some reason. I don't know why. I've tried it a couple of times. I couldn't get into it.
Okay.
Everyone keeps talking about it. Series just came out on Netflix about a month or so ago.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I got to get another book to my list for this reading challenge that I'm failing miserably right now.
No, no, no.
Start adding Dr. Seuss books in there to speed it up. Anyway, it's called A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. I'm probably butchering his name, but Amor is his first name. It could be Amor. Towles, Tolls or Towels, not really sure how you're going to pronounce it. It is a sweeping epic that starts with kind of the start of Russian communism all the way through the 1960s. And it's a gentleman who, by the new government, has to remain in this hotel and basically gives up his whole identity and can never go back outside. Basically held in a prison in a hotel. It's awesome. It is so fascinating. The characters that are woven in, the way this book is written, I'm absolutely enamored with it. And I'm so happy I finished it
Yeah.
that now I can sit and watch it on Netflix with captions.
You know,
I can't say enough about it, and I'm so glad I gave it a chance.
yeah, fantastic book. I read it
Did you read it?
a couple of years ago. His writing style is
It
so.
took me forever to get into it. I'm so
It's
glad I did.
tough. It's tough, right? Because it's almost
Yeah.
poetic and almost like a throwback to, like Dickensian era. It's like 18th century.
Yes,
It's long-winded,
it
but it's
is.
almost lyrical when you get into it.
Hmm.
But it's
That was it.
you have to adjust to it. It's one of those writing styles that it is a learning curve to it. You really have to like learn the
Exactly.
style and let it like come over you. It's yeah.
Yep.
I'm glad you gave it a shot because it's a fantastic book.
It's fantastically
Yeah.
written, and like you said, Brad, the lyricism of the language, the word choice,
Oh,
it's
beautiful.
so illustrated. Like I wish I could write like that. I never will.
Yeah,
It was
no, me
amazing. It
too.
was so good.
It's
So
such a
really,
good book.
really
Yeah,
fantastic book.
yeah,
Highly recommend it. Didn't know that you read it, so now we have something else to
yeah,
talk about.
yeah.
Awesome.
Such a
So
good book.
excited.
Yeah, he's so good.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So that was my pick for today. What about you?
I have a book that's on the other end of the spectrum, but related to the topic, and so I have
Ooh.
Here and Beyond by
Oh,
Shari
no
Eberts
way.
and Gail Hannan. I actually met them at
Yeah.
the HLA conference. Wonderful
Oh,
women.
cool.
Just that this book is why I'm here ritually today, and it's why I'm
Hmm.
involved in the HLA, and it's why I'm speaking up for myself. There are so many fantastic tricks and tips and adjustments to your mindset if you have hearing loss. I recommend that book to anybody with any degree of
Mm-hmm.
hearing loss because it's so helpful, and I can't say enough about it. It's just so helpful. I mean, I bought that copy, so like
Right.
it's something that I'll go back to because
Yeah.
Shari and Gael are just amazing people, and they really are in it to help other people, and they have their message and the way they relay the message is just it obviously resonated with me because I was
Very
totally
cool.
fanboying out when I met them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it was great. So definitely pick it up from your library. You know, if you don't have the money to buy the book,
Yeah.
but if you do have the money, I'd say pick up a copy so you can make your notes and highlight the passages that resonate
Very
with you
cool.
because there's no one way to be deaf, right? So certain
Right.
passages you're not gonna be able
Mm-hmm.
to do, and other ones will just change your life. I really think so. So yeah,
All right, cool. I'm
yeah,
gonna have to check that out
yeah.
myself. I was wondering, um, books about hearing loss, having lived, I don't remember a time where I didn't have hearing aids. It's just been a part of
Sure.
me since I was 2.5, 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, having it be so ingrained in my identity,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, will I take something away from a book that
No,
I perhaps could have written? I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious to pick it up and take a look at it
same.
myself and see if
Yeah,
there's
because I
some
don't.
new
I think that
reflections or like validation
yeah.
maybe that I didn't realize I would be looking for from another source. So I think I have to kind of take a run with it and
Yeah,
see.
I think you'll already know how to do a lot of the stuff. For someone who had
Sure.
trouble speaking up for myself, it really helped
Right.
me. But I think
Right.
there's so much in it. I think no matter if you're comfortable speaking up for decades for yourself or
Sure.
not, I think you'll find something.
All right.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
Always fun to be here together
Yes.
and to be with all of you. And we thank you so much for taking the time and giving us your attention and letting us kind of get the word out
Yeah.
in a way that's really important to both of us. So we appreciate you. Thank you, and we will see you next time.